Goodyear sells $2 billion in assets, and North Wilkesboro loses a legend. Let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? All right, first things first, let's get into the Goodyear story. From Jayski via Reuters. A century is a long time to accumulate bad habits. Goodyear Tire and Rubber said it would try to shed some of that by selling $2 billion of assets, streamlining its business, and paying down debt. Corporate cage rattler Elliott Investment Management won seats on the board in July. Bless the moves, which echo shifts rocking other aged industrial icons. Goodyear's interests stretch from tire manufacturing to running more than 1,000 retail locations. It's now slimming down the sprawl, splitting off a chemicals business, among others. Fellow industrial centenarians also are cleaning up messes. General Electric and 3M are among the others splintering themselves. Goodyear could be rolling towards something bigger, too. Richard Kramer, chief executive for 14 years, is stepping down as the $4 billion company tidies itself. It could turn out to be worth more in pieces. Okay, so several things to break down here. First off, they're selling off assets, which means, and it said in this one that they're splintering the company. That means that it's going to go and look at some other various things that they can make profitable going forward. That means they'll probably sell off some of their things like the chemical plant or something like that, maybe, possibly. So that's going to be interesting because they're looking to turn more of a profit, which looks to be something that probably a lot of companies, they mentioned 3M and General Electric, are doing in this particular economy right now. But how will that affect NASCAR? I think there's two ways of looking at it. The first, of course, is a lot of people are saying, oh, Goodyear's selling off all this stuff. Are they going to continue to be with NASCAR? Well, they re-upped with NASCAR this year. And they talked about the Elliott Group that came in there and purchased a good significant share of the stock. Essentially, I guess, a controlling type of interest. And they're okay with the move. So you would have to imagine that the Elliott Group was also okay with the move to stay in NASCAR. So they would still see NASCAR as a viable option going forward. That is the way some people are going to interpret it. The other side of that coin, some people are going to interpret it as, after this contract with NASCAR runs out, will they re-up and go with NASCAR again in the future as they're trying to become more profitable? So some people are going to read this as, hey, look, after this deal with NASCAR runs out, they'll probably reassess it and see if they're getting value for their money going forward. Going back to the splintering and chopping up divisions, this could be also a situation where they cut off the Goodyear Racing division, right? And somebody else would purchase that or something comes of that. So in that case, it would be if somebody bought the splintered off version of the Goodyear Racing deal. Once again, this is a hypothetical. But if they splintered off the Goodyear Racing division and somebody else bought it, who then would manufacture the tires? So we would be in for another tire situation where, will these tires work at this track? Will these tires not work at this track? It would be a learning curve for whoever got the Goodyear Racing title or whatever they would buy if once again, hypothetical, if that happens. So a lot of moving parts here, but very interesting. They sold off $2 billion worth of assets trying to become more profitable in this particular economy. This from Save the Speedway via Twitter. Statement on the passing of North Wilkesboro Speedway caretaker Paul Call. For more than 60 years, North Wilkesboro Speedway has been cared for by one man, Paul Call, who began working for Enoch Staley when he was just 16 years old, watching the track flourish with the best NASCAR drivers in the world and the biggest of events. When the track closed in 1996, Paul continued his work as the only employee of the Speedway, caring for the track that he lived next to, telling stories and keeping the facility safe. Paul never lost faith NASCAR would return to the Speedway, would reopen, and did it with the 2023 NASCAR All-Star race right outside his front door as we watched the Speedway reborn. Paul was a friend, and his stories will be missed. And you can see right there a few pictures. Of course, on the right, a much younger Paul, and then on the left, a much older Paul there toward more recent times. And although not necessarily a household name to a lot of people, definitely part of the legend that is North Wilkesboro, and he will be sorely missed. And if you don't think so, just go to that Twitter post that was made and just read through the comments. There is person after person who met Paul when they visited the track, whether it was open, whether it wasn't open. It didn't matter. He would always be the one there. He would basically give you like the unofficial tour, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of knowledge now that is gone. But he was within himself. He would always be called the caretaker of North Wilkesboro, even though people didn't necessarily know his name. But he's definitely going to be somebody that is missed going forward. And just what dedication. He did it for 60 years, right? A good 30 or so of which they didn't have, I would say, they didn't have a Cup Series race. So for him to have that faith, just to continue that service, that stewardship of keeping that track maintained, even though there were some years where there just wasn't a lot going on, period. Not necessarily just NASCAR racing, but probably a lot of years in there where there just wasn't a whole lot going on, period. He kept his service up, and just an absolute legend, and he will, for 100%, be missed. When I went to North Wilkesboro, when they did the Cars Tour late model race a couple years ago, the first one, before they had the All-Star race brought back for NASCAR, all you heard were stories about various people, and he was one of the people that people would continuously tell stories about, like, oh, he walked us through here. Hey, we just pulled up to, like, take a look at the track. He walked up and, sort of walked us through it, and I kind of would always go and sit on the bleachers and share stories as people, walked around, and when they saw what they wanted to see, they would come sit on the bleachers with him, and he would tell them some stories of the past. So, definitely going to be someone that is missed, not necessarily a household name, but really, honestly, should be a household name, so he will be missed. The only other real thing of interest here, of course, is that Noah Gragson is once again linked to the Stewart HAAS ride via Bob Pockress of Fox Sports. And here's the title to that one. Noah Gragson linked to Stewart HAAS, number 10 car in the latest NASCAR silly season. But I feel like we've been over that about 100 times at this point. So, I mean, nothing's really changed. He's just continued to be linked with Stewart HAAS Racing. So, either eventually they'll make it official, or we'll find out that everybody was led astray. You never know with Stewart HAAS Racing. But I'm leaning toward everybody saying he's going to Stewart HAAS Racing. So, I'm assuming he's going to Stewart HAAS Racing too. And I'm pretty sure the sponsor is going to, one of them is at least going to be Bass Pro Shop, as he's already cut a social media commercial with Bass Pro Shop. So I would expect to see the number 10 Bass Pro Shop Noah Gragson car next season for Stewart HAAS. All right, that's all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, would love to have your subscription. If not, I'll keep making these things. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate you all as well. If you got a question, comment, or anything that I was talking about here, leave it down in the comment section. I try to get to as many of them as I can. And if you want to help out the channel, there is a merch store. The link is in the description down below. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.